Hey guys, it's Skylar and welcome back. Today's video is going to be all about the Jeffree Star Blue Blood collection. I recently got my hands on the palette and the mini Velour liquid lipstick set. Let me tell you, it was a journey. The moment it launched, I quickly got on the website and within like 3 minutes, the website had crashed. It was insane. I had my phone going and then my phone crashed. And so my boyfriend, bless his soul, his phone actually ended up kicking through, and so that was how I was able to get through and get to these beautiful items. But yeah, it was a pain in the ass trying to get them because the website kept crashing. So many people were trying to get a hold of the palette. It was insane. I don't want this intro to be really long, but I do know that there are probably a ton of reviews already. There are probably a ton of tutorials and swatches and everything else. So I did put a bunch of timestamps down below in the description box so you can check that out if you're interested in the tutorial or the review or the swatching. Whatever, you can kind of skip around to what you want to see, so that way you don't have to watch the whole video or try and guess. So with that being said, let's get right into today's video. When it first arrived, obviously it comes in like the classic pink Jeffree Star box. The Blue Blood palette itself actually comes in like a almost like wood style box. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. This is kind of different. The Blood Sugar palette actually came in like a VCR kind of box. It just slid out. This is like a legit box that the Blue Blood palette came in. It's very expensive feeling. So the box itself is almost like a matte texture, and then the font is raised. So, and it's shiny as well compared to the matte. I'm a graphic design junkie, so packaging to me is everything, and I just think that this packaging is gorgeous. I think the blue is extremely pretty. The back obviously has all of the ingredients listed, and then you open it up and the Blue Blood palette is inside. So this is what the Blue Blood palette looks like. It feels so expensive. It is more on the heftier side, but because of that, I think that it's really safe to travel with because it kind of has that weight to it, like the Blood Sugar palette. I think that the packaging is so cute. It's shaped as a coffin. So if we compare the two, the Blood Sugar palette with the Blue Blood, they feel about the same weight, but if you compare them next to each other, you can see that the Blue Blood palette is a little bit thicker than the Blood Sugar just because of the coffin-like shape. However, they both are the same weight, and they also both have the clasps to keep the palette shut. So much like its sister, the Blue Blood palette does retail for $52, and each pan has 1.5 grams of product in it. So if you do that out, it's like roughly $2 to $3-ish, somewhere around there, which to me is pretty reasonable considering you're getting 18 eyeshadows, and it is such a good formula. It's really creamy. The foiled eyeshadows go on smoothly. There is no crumbly eyeshadow. There's no chalky eyeshadow. It's so pigmented. So to me, it's kind of like a win-win. So yeah, it's a little bit on the expensive side, but you get what you pay for, you know? So with that being said, let's open this sucker up. This is what the Blue Blood palette looks like. It is so gorgeous. The shades in this palette are beyond stunning. I love the foiled shades and the matte shades. It's like the perfect combination of peach, gray, and mint shades. I think that the layout of the eyeshadow itself is extremely unique. It has like that classic square shape that Jeffree Star always has. The layout of the color is very unique. It's kind of scattered, but it's still very cohesive, which I love that. That's one thing that I always look at in a palette is the cohesiveness in it. I see so many palettes where the color is just like the shades are beautiful, but the way that they are put together in the palette is just trash. I also like that the palette has a really good sized mirror that I just put all my fingerprints on. I think that because of the mirror and the weight of the palette, I think it would be really good to travel with. Even if you weren't using the eyeshadow inside, I think the mirror is still nice to use. So I am going to do a couple of swatches of my favorite shades in the palette, but I'm not going to do the whole thing. There are a million videos out there that have swatches. You can check those out. I am going to swatch a few of my favorites. So the first one I'm going to swatch is Flourishing, which is this like really interesting teal, like green teal shade. And I'm gonna go ahead and swipe that a couple times and swatch that on my arm. It is absolutely stunning. This shade is so gorgeous. It's actually more blue now that I'm looking at it on my wrist. I don't know how well my camera will pick up the shade or how true to tone it will be, but I think that it is absolutely stunning, and I might use that in today's look. The next shade I am going to go in with is Blue Monday, which is right next to Flourishing. It's like this really pretty, bright, purpley blue shade, and I'm gonna go ahead and run my finger in that a couple of times and swatch that. That is so stunning. I love that. It's like a blue purple, kind of like a dark periwinkle, I guess is like the best way I would describe it. I think that it's absolutely stunning. I'm gonna go in with a lighter shade because I'm curious just to see how pigmented it is. This is the shade Minty right here, and that is what I'm going to go in with. I'm gonna go ahead and swirl that a couple times on my finger, and I'm just gonna swatch that right below. I don't expect it to be as pigmented. I don't even know if the camera will pick it up. So the camera doesn't pick up the shade very well. It is a very like light minty blue. However, it's really pigmented. You can see it on my finger. I think that the shadow is so incredibly creamy. I am gonna go ahead and try out one of the foil shades just because I'm curious. This is the shade Ocean Ice right here, which is like a really pretty royal blue foil. I'm gonna just take that on my pinky because the rest of my fingers are dirty. Again, it still feels extremely creamy, even though it is a foil. Sometimes with foils, you can actually get a little bit chalky, but I don't get that with this. And it's just so stunning. That is such a pretty shade. It actually almost reminds me of the Juvia's Place. I think it's the Nubian 2 palette or the Sahara palette. One of the two. So for today's look, I think I might be doing like a half cut crease. I'm not really sure. I'm just so excited to use this palette. I want to use like all of the colors. I don't know what to go in with. I'm going to go ahead in with a fluffy Morphe brush. This is just from the 702 set, and I'm going to be using the Veramona color switch, and this is just to get rid of some pink that I had left over on my brush because I did do a look using the Blood Sugar palette a couple days ago. And I think that the very first shade I am going to go in with is I'm Cold, which is this really pretty light sky blue shade at the very top. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna dip in only a little bit because I don't know how this is going to perform yet. It could be so pigmented and I don't want it to be overpowering. And this is going to be our transition color. It's gonna go right in the crease. The shade is so gorgeous. It actually has like a little bit of a gray tone in it, which is kind of perfect for what I'm going for. It's really creamy and I'm finding it blends out. It's so easy. I'm gonna go in like little circular motions just to blend out the edge a bit more. And I am going to smoke out the eyeshadow a little bit on the edge just because this is going to be kind of a dramatic look. I am getting a little bit of kick up, but not nearly enough to be concerned. Kick up doesn't really bother me, to be honest. I know for some people that's kind of like a make or break sort of deal, but to me it doesn't really matter. These shades, I know the palette seems like it's really unwearable, but I disagree with that. I think that there are some really wearable shades in the palette, and I also think if you did like a brown smoky eye and you paired it with a really bright blue, you could get away with wearing this palette. I also don't give a shit about what anybody else thinks, so if I'm gonna wear blue eyeshadow, I'm gonna wear blue eyeshadow. Trying to use like as many shades as I possibly can because I just want to try them all out. So I'm going in with like a smaller Morphe brush, again using that Veramona color switch, and I'm gonna deepen up the crease a little bit. I'm going in with the shade Blue Blood, which is named after the palette, and that's that really pretty sky blue shade. It's just a couple shades darker. I'm trying to use as many shades as I can in the palette because I want to use them all. And I'm gonna go ahead and stamp that into the outer corner as well as into the crease, and then we will blend it out afterwards with that fluffy brush we used to apply I'm Cold. This shade is really pigmented and it is really creamy, so it blends really seamlessly into the skin, and I appreciate that. Again, I'm smoking out the shade just a little bit at the corner because we do want it to be a little bit more dramatic. Next, I'm going in with the shade Deceased, which is right next to Blue Blood, and it's a darker blue. It actually almost looks like it has a tiny bit of shimmer to it. It's not matte, but it's not really foiled either. It's kind of like a happy medium, and I am gonna go with that, and I'm gonna deepen up the crease some more. Normally, I don't go in with shimmery eyeshadows in the crease. That's a no-no, but I don't really feel like it's shimmery enough where I can't use it there. And I'm gonna stamp that onto the outer corner of the eye as well as right in the crease. And when I go to blend this out with a fluffy brush, I'm not going to bring it as high up as we did with Blue Blood because I want that to transition seamlessly. And it did fade a little bit when we went in to blend it, so I am going to go back in and apply some more of that. I want to deepen up that crease even more, so I'm going to go in with Undertaker, which is this dark blue. It's like a dark navy blue in the bottom corner. And I'm going to go ahead and take a smaller Morphe brush, and again, using that Vermona color switch, I'm going to go ahead and take off any pink that I had left over on it. I don't think I'm going to do a half cut crease. I think I'm going to do a soft cut crease instead. And I'm just going to go ahead and take this and stamp this on the outer corner of the eye and right into the crease. I'm not going to take this as far in as I did with the other shades, but I am going to go back in with that fluffy brush and just blend that out. Like I said, I am going to keep this as like a soft cut crease. I'm going to go in with the shade Entitled, which is a really pretty foiled mint shade. I'm going to take that small brush we used to apply Undertaker, and taking Entitled, I'm going to apply this to about the center of the lid. And I'm just going to take the time to pack that shadow on. This is also extremely creamy and pigmented, so it doesn't take much to get it to the pigment that you're going to want. I'm also taking that shade and blending it ever so slightly into that dark blue we placed. And I'm also blending it over towards the inner corner just a bit, not too much. I am going to be applying a second shimmer shade on the lid, so I don't want to take it too far. All right, using the Vermona color switch, I'm taking off that mint frost shade, and I'm gonna go in with Crystal Flesh, which is this really beautiful champagne-y color almost, and I'm gonna take that and apply that on the inner portion of the lid and blend that in towards that mint shade we placed. Just a little bit. Going back in with Entitled, I'm gonna pick up some more of that and just reapply that and blend it in towards Crystal Flesh. The camera definitely isn't doing this any justice. I feel like you cannot tell how beautiful these shades are, and I feel like you can't see it either. The last thing I'm going to do is take a small flat brush and going in with the shade Cullinan, which is this really pretty highlight shade. I'm going to take some of that and apply that to the inner corner of the eye. All right, so that is it for the eyeshadow. It blends extremely well. I do think that even though the shadows are like a bright blue, I do think that they are still wearable. I am going to go ahead and apply eyelashes, and then I will be right back. The only other thing I got from the Jeffree Star Blue Blood collection was the Mini Velour liquid lipstick. This is very similar to the other Mini Velour liquid lipsticks that you can get, except it is obviously for the Blue Blood collection. I believe this retailed for $54 if I remember correctly. Inside you get 8 Mini Velour liquid lipsticks. Obviously they are all themed to fit the Blue Blood collection. There are a couple of new ones, and then the rest are a bunch of old-time favorites. The very first shade in the palette is Drug Lord, which has been around for a while. It is the only white liquid lipstick in his collection. Now, this is extremely pigmented. I did try it on a while ago. Please excuse my stained arm from swatching the eyeshadow shades, but I think that it's nice because it's so pigmented, you don't get the color of your natural lip coming through, and it also is very creamy. You can see it kind of blends in with my skin. The next shade is Ice Tray, which is a really pretty periwinkle color. Again, it's extremely pigmented. I don't know, I think this will be okay for my skin tone. There is one in here that I'm not so sure about. The next shade is Jawbreaker, which is a really pretty light sky blue shade. So this is Jawbreaker, which is an extremely pretty light sky blue shade. The thing that's nice about these two is that I don't know if I'd be able to pull this color off. However, they are eye safe, so you can wear it as an eyeliner. You could put it in a waterline. You could also, if you're like me, use it in any sort of face paint that you might do, which is kind of cool because a lot of liquid lipsticks, you can't use them in near the eye area because otherwise it'll probably sting. The next liquid lipstick in the palette is Blue Velvet, which is this really pretty matte, I guess I would call this as close to blue as you can get, to be honest. Out of all the liquid lipsticks in this collection, It's like a really pretty dark, like this is a Crayola crayon blue color, in my opinion anyways. So my fingertips are a little bit stained from earlier from swatching the eyeshadow, but still, you can see that even just tapping on this, it's only been like 3 minutes swatching these, and you can see that the top two, there is no residue left on my fingertips. So, you know, that's nice, especially if you're eating food. It takes a lot for these to come off unless you're eating like really oily food. Next, Velour Mini Liquid Lipstick is one of my favorites, actually. This one is called Abused, and it's like a really pretty, I would call this like a gray with purple undertones. It is like tinted a little bit blue, but it's not extremely blue though. It's like a really dark, like purpley blue gray. I don't really know how to describe the shade. It's pretty unique. I don't think I've seen one quite like it. It also has a different smell to it than all of the other ones do. I don't know what it is about this one, but it smells like kind of like soda or some sort of candy. The rest don't smell like anything. This one just has a really particular scent to it. I don't know what it is about this shade. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it has a very distinct smell to it. Now, this is one of the shades in the Velour Mini Collection that I don't know if I could pull off. This is the shade Diamond. This is an extremely like light purple periwinkle color. So like you can see, it's a lot lighter than Ice Tray at the very top. It is very pretty, but again, I don't know if this is something I could pull off, but I could definitely wear it as an eyeliner. Next, we have Titanic, which is the only blue metallic liquid lip in this whole mini collection. I don't know if the camera will pick up just how metallic it is, but it is a very beautiful shade. It's kind of like a midnight blue with some shine, which is really pretty. The very last liquid lip in the collection is Medusa, which is a really pretty dark gray. This is extremely pretty, which I can see why they would name it Medusa, because she turns people to stone, and that is like a really like dark stone colored liquid lip. This is something that I would definitely wear daily. I think it's really pretty. The thing that's also nice about blue liquid lip or anything that's like blue undertoned is that it will make your teeth look whiter. Aside from Drug Lord, all of the shades in the Velour Mini Lipstick collection are all blue or purple undertoned. They do fit really nicely together. They're extremely cohesive. So I am gonna put on one of the mini liquid lipsticks. I'm gonna go in with Blue Velvet. I just feel like out of all of them, comparing it to the eyeshadow, that's just what I want to try. I think it's like one of the brighter ones, but it's also dark. Overall, I am so happy that I got my hands on this collection. I think that the shades are so pretty. I think that it's really out of the box. You're going to start to see brands come out with blue eyeshadow palettes now that Jeffree Star has done it. And I just think that that's kind of like the color of the year, sort of. I think it's going to be really trendy this year until towards like summertime and fall. That is it for today's video, but fear not, I will be doing more tutorials using the Blue Blood palette. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter so you guys can see behind the scenes, and I will see you in my next video. I'm not going to be swatching... Oh, you guys are going to have to deal with that. Delightful. Old time favorite. There are a bunch of new, pretty, a light, you're not in front of the camera.
Oh, I am.
You can see that the top one has dried down and there, no it has not. Just kidding. When you tap on the shadow, that's not eyeshadow. I guess I would consider this like the epitome of blue. It is like no shit. You know what? We're gonna have to come back to that. Food. Glorious food. Each pan is... I don't know.